Hello, welcome to MCFC 9320 podcast. And this afternoon, I'm absolutely, and I genuinely mean this, delighted to have one of my all-time City heroes, Terry Phelan. Terry, thank you very much for your time, sir, because I know you're a busy boy. Wow. How much has the game changed from you joined us in, what was it, 93? Was it 93?
I think I joined Manchester City in 92, but I could have joined Manchester City when I was 12 years of age, actually, on a 4-year contract. And obviously, I mean, remember Ken? Was it Ken Barnes? The old
Ken Barnes, Peter's dad, Barnes,
yeah, Peter's daddy. I remember him coming to the house in Salford, and and saying, "Listen, Terry, we've watched you now. You've been up for a trial out. We love what you do, and you're just so natural. Will you sign for us?" And there was a few other clubs, and I was thinking, well, Manchester City. I wasn't thinking that. Other people around me was, and they didn't know a lot about football, to tell you the truth. Especially my mother didn't know a lot about it. She was a Manchester United fan anyway. God bless her cotton socks. Yeah. But no, it was just basically, Man City was buying players then, wasn't he? I think there was £1 million. Steve Daly was it? Trevor Francis, and when you're a young boy, you think, will you ever get in the side? And you look at people like Ian Brightwell got in there. Paul Lake was in there. He got a bit of a bad injury, didn't he? John Sheridan, who I ended up playing at Leeds with.
Yeah, Johnny Sheridan.
And it was basically, look, go to Leeds. They're building something, aging team. They're in the second division. You'll have a chance of playing in the first team, basically. But my first shirt, and I keep saying this to everybody, my first football shirt ever was a Manchester City football shirt with the old badge in the middle of the chest. The next door neighbour gave it me, and it was on. Can you imagine running around Salford with that on? No wonder I was quick.
Normally I have a bit of structure and stuff like that, but you'll probably find me bouncing different questions on you, from because I've been asking people as well, City fans on various, various social media, what I do and stuff like that. One of them, what kept coming out, who'd win a race, you or Kyle Walker? I'd have my money on you, pal. I would have there.
Listen, Kyle Walker's a big lad, isn't he? He's a big, strong lad, and I think I'd have the first 5 yards on him, and then I'd be breaking away. And he'd probably try to catch me the last maybe 10 yards.
But he wasn't.
Well, Keith Curle was quick. Keith Curle was like lightning. He never used to pick his knees up, Keith. He sort of like just used to glide across the grass. He made it look so easily. But no, I think, I don't mind. I don't mind having a race against anybody now. At 56 years of age, I'm still fit enough.
I was going to say, I bet you still got a bit of pet. You don't even look as if you've changed, in all honesty.
No, I still go to the gym every day. I do my work in the morning at home, my exercises. Then I get in the gym and all. Give myself an hour in the gym most days. Just keep myself as healthy as I can, and as fit as I can. Because when you're running across the field and you're up and down the field and you're demonstrating to the students, you need to be able to do it, because it gives them that little bit of impetus and that little bit of knowledge, and I think that the self-esteem and motivation more than anything.
Yeah. Now you spoke about Curly then. You joined him you joined City just after Curly, didn't you? For the same £2.5 million at the time. It was a British record, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a world record for a defender, wasn't it?
It was a world record for Curly was the world record, wasn't he, for the defender? But for the fullback, it was an awful lot of money. And to tell you the truth, Sam Haman, who was the Wimbledon owner then, and Wimbledon was a great little club. They wasn't in debt. They was probably one of the richest clubs in the world. If it sounds stupid, because they wasn't in debt. They got players off free transfers. They got them bottom basement. And, he sold them for millions and millions and millions, back in the day, which would be worth hundreds of millions now. But yeah, I think Curly come the year before me. He might have come the year before me, Curly, yeah. And I remember him speaking to me and saying, look, Tell, I don't think Sam's going to let you go for $1.5 million. I mean, there was Barcelona, there was Ajax, there was Chelsea, there was Manchester United, there was Glasgow Rangers, there was Celtic. There was a few clubs in there, you know, and Barcelona was the one, but Johan Cruyff there was only going to pay £1.5 million, and Ferguson was only paying £1.5 million, and a few others. And the last minute, Peter Reid come in. He said, "Listen, you know, I'm going to send somebody up to see you, or down to London to see you. I want to see if you'll sign for Manchester City. This is what we're building." And I said, yeah. He sent somebody down to London, went to an hotel. He showed me what he was building. Obviously, I knew Keith Curle. And he said, I need 2 or 3 more players, and then we're going to go for the title. We're going to have a good go of it. Maybe not this year, but next year. We want you to fill that left-back role in. Because I know Andy Hinchcliffe had left and Neil Poynton had left and all. So, it was a chance to go in there. It was an awful lot of money for a full-back, $2.5 million. But at the end of the day, if a club was prepared to pay it, then they was going to get something which was not going to let them down, really.
Absolutely, mate. And you said, you know, on paper, look at the players we had, and I thought Reedy was very, very unlucky to lose his job, because he got us right up there, you know, and that bit more support, we could have really, really done something, you know, with Reedy in charge. So on that aspect, it was really it was disappointing, you know, the way it all, you know, panned out, because, you know, like playing with the likes of like Quinney, Walshere, Beeks, you know, players of that ilk, you know, there was no mugs. There was all established, you know, international players, weren't they?
Well, this is what we're on about. When you build a team, it takes time, doesn't it? He was in there. He was building it. Obviously, he was, you know, he come in after, I think it was Howard, wasn't it? Howard Kendall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he knew what it was all about. It was his first real managerial job, and he did well, didn't he? You know, did well. EPL comes along. He's got a little bit more money to spend, and you know, his finances are a little bit better. He puts a blueprint out how he wants to run the club, and you know what type of players he wants. I remember him trying to get. He said, "I want Matthew Letizia and Ian Wright." He said, "They're the 2 I'm going for now, and I don't care what we're going to pay for them. We'll break all records, but these are the 2 players I want." And you look around, we had young lads. Richard Edghill was coming through. Gary Flitcroft was absolutely brilliant.
He really was. Yeah.
You know, obviously Keith Curle. You know, you had Tony Cote and Niall Quinn, young Mike Sharon, Fitzroy Simpson. And the special one for me was David White on the right-hand side. Yeah. You know, and then they brought Rick Holden into, you know, me serving the balls, he gets the crosses in, and, you know, and Steve McMahon in midfield. I mean, you go through that team and it's not bad. I think, you know, Andy Hill playing right back, Michael Bonk right in there with, you know.
I was going to say, spot on. I'm just looking for 1993. When we played Spurs, the team was TC, Andy Hill, yourself, Steve McMahon, David Brightwell, Vonke, David White, Sharon, Reeder, Flitz, and Ricky Holden. You know, and that was in '93. So even from then, when obviously Reedy was a player at the time, the progression between then and to the end of when you know, Reedy's tenure as the City manager, you know, you could see the progression in it. And even then, like Quinny was on the bench, you know, on that day, what I'm talking about. And for those 3-4 years, it was just it was like the entertainers as well, because obviously I'm going to ask you about the goal he scored against Spurs in the FA Cup. I was there in the Kipak, and you quoted as saying, we just absolutely first half. I can remember it. I can remember it really, really well. We battered them off the park in the first half, and the second half we just went. We popped now, and then while all the crowd, and then because you remember all the crowd violence, and then all of a sudden we see Terry Phelan. It's like no, and it's almost like an unforgotten, a forgotten goal, isn't it? That.
Yeah, I think I still get asked about it today now, you know, and the thing was, yeah, you was right there. You hit the nail right on the head. You know, we went out there in the game positive, and I think everybody, the Blue Half of Manchester, thought we could actually bring a trophy home
Absolutely, yeah.
under Reedy. And I think the nostalgia about it, the euphorism about it, you know, the accolades we was getting leading up to the game and before, you know, we'd beat a couple of good teams in the FA Cup and all. The crowd for weeks was buzzing about it. I think we went to Nottingham Forest and we beat Nottingham Forest at Nottingham Forest, and I think there was half of the ground was blue and white, and it was absolutely amazing. I'm getting goose pimples anyway. So, but yeah, that day it was a bit strange because we went out and we absolutely murdered them. You know, if I can say that word, we absolutely pummeled them. You know, they didn't get hold of the ball. And the football, and we went 1-0 up. We should have been 5 up, and then we shouldn't have went in at half time. To be fair, and you know, you go in and a couple of mistakes set in, and they get the, you know, they get their foot in the door a little bit. The doors open a bit. They go 2-1 up, 3-1 up, and you think, here we go, 4-1, and you think game over. And you know, I was very pissed off then in that game, if I can say that word. Sorry,
of course you can.
Because you know we let the fans down. We let the fans down, and as a player, you don't want to let the fans down. You know, you wear your heart on your sleeve. They go every weekend to pay the money, and you want to try it for them. And I just remember saying to TC, just give us the ball. I've had enough. But I was threatening to do it most of the season anyway. And obviously people say it was poor defending or everybody give up because they was winning the game. But I didn't think like that. I just thought, right, let's entertain. Let me go and see if I can, you know, get the crowd up again and give them something to smile about, and find myself in front of the goalkeeper Walker sliding it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And I even celebrated. It wasn't a great celebration, but what I liked about the City fans was they celebrated it. And then there's a wanted poster out for who started a riot. And I think it was me for that goal, to tell the truth. So,
I remember what was it like? Because I remember the rioting going on, and as I say,
I don't think it was right, and it wasn't. We won't say that word because I think it was just fans ran onto the field. It wasn't like they was throwing chairs about or anything like that. And I just think it was. I think a little bit of sadness, a little bit of happiness. There was the emotions was in the fans, and you know you can't really blame them. Yeah, they shouldn't come on the field, but you can't really blame them, can you? You know, you know, because we really should have went on and had a great chance of going to the final and winning that. I think Spurs won it that year. Was that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So you know, the ones who knock us out goes on to win it. That's sort of like a.
Well, not anymore now. Not anymore now. They've changed that a little bit over the years, haven't they? Especially in the last 13 years, they've changed that a little bit. You know, they've got to see. They built a culture at Manchester City. Everybody says money's come in, but you know, everything evolves. Everything evolves. You know, and things evolve a lot of the time for the best. And Manchester City was always there and thereabouts. Peter Swell's always spent money. So he was spending money back in the days. You know, they were spending the money before anybody else, you know. So when people say, oh, well, you know, they've got money to spend now, you've got to spend it wisely, your money. And that's what I keep saying to people.
It's got to be managed correctly, Annie, you know, because, you know, you only had to look at the Galacticos years ago. They had all the best players on the planet and they won nothing. You know, you've got to have that right balance. So after you left us, pal, was you surprised that like the demise of us, really, you know, the way we just suddenly plummeted down from everywhere?
Well, listen, if you go back, I think it was on the cards with Reedy going, wasn't it? And then we had all the fiascos with the chairman, you know, Peter Swells and Franny Lee and the takeover. I don't think that helped too much. That didn't go too well. Changes of managers, changes of players. Players didn't know whether they was coming or going. I was very surprised myself that I got told to go. You know, you're surplus to requirements. I had another 2 years on my contract, and I was looking to sign a new contract. So it was a big surprise to me. Actually, it was a sad moment and I still feel sad about that day anyway. So, I, you know, when you go to a club and you're from Manchester, and you think to yourself, I want to stay here for the rest of my life. That's what I actually thought. That was what was in my head. I signed a 5-year contract back then, which was a long time. Yeah. They said, Terry, you do well after a couple of seasons. You know, we'll open negotiations, and we want you to sign again. And you know, obviously managers changed, and Brian Horton come in. It was hard for Brian, and you know, with really 2 years, yeah. And I said, look, Brian, you know, I'd love to stay. We did say to the chairman that there was another few years, you know, of negotiations ready to go, but that never evolved. I got my head down. I kept playing. I think one or two the crowd got on me back a little bit. Why I don't know. It was all out of my hands, and I ended up going to Chelsea really. And that's right, you know, yeah. you could see the club in a bit of disarray, and I felt sorry for the fans because the fans wanted success. They really did. And you know, a lot of my friends are Man City fans, Man United fans, and a few of the Manchester United fans was a little bit worried because they seen a little bit of progression. Mm-hmm. You know, they seen a little bit of progression at Manchester City of what Peter Reid was doing. But listen, it's gone. It happened. Clubs evolve, like I said before, and yeah, I ended up going down to Chelsea, and then you know, I seen the club and the stature of Manchester City just dwindling away, and we find ourselves in a league where we shouldn't be in. You know, we drop out of the EPL, in the Championship, we drop out of that, and then it's what's actually going on now.
Yeah, because I think everybody's together when we say we felt sorry for Brian Horton, because there was a glimmer of after Reader. There was a glimmer with when Brian come in where he just sort of like rejuvenated things, like a pick me up, and then he just got. Brian's been on our show a couple of times, you know, and he speaks. You know, he's still, you know, got huge affection for City. He's still, you know, he still goes to City games, supports club meetings, stuff like that. But like with players like Walsh, you know, like, you know, it was still like a continuation, but it's like anything. If it's unsettled at the top, being sort of like chairman and stuff like that, that it's, you know, naturally going to filter down to the players, and that's what we're seeing. What as on a fan's perspective, that's what we saw happening. So yeah,
and you know, you're virtually right there. What you're saying is, you know, you want harmony. You want harmony. You want to be able to go out there and play your football with no disgruntled people. And when, you know, you look at football now, what's going on now with owners fighting and ownerships and takeovers, and you know, it's not nice, because it does. You know, it's all right. People say no, it shouldn't affect the players because they're on so much money, but it does affect the players. You know, a change of manager affects the players, because you never know if you're in that manager's mind or not. And he's going to bring his own team in, and then when you change another manager, then you're thinking, hang on a minute, what's actually going on? So
it's like a revolving door.
Every club I went to, the managers seemed to leave or get the sack, and I don't know if it was me or
you.
I don't know if it was me or what was going on, but no, it was sad to see where City they went, but you know, at this present time, you know, we speak high volumes of them, and we've got to speak high volumes of the fans and all. Let's not forget the fans who have been there through thick and thin. You know, 40-odd thousand week in and week out at Main Road, 50,000, and you know, even when they was down in the depths, you know, fans were still going there. You know,
what we do, we get relegated, so we just build another stand, the Gene Kelly. It's just like, and that's the mentality. And I think that's what keeps us grounded, that, Terry. You know, because we've been there, like the old third division. You know, people ask me what's the best season I've ever had, and they always expect me to say straight away, oh, when we won the league in 2012, you know, the Aguero moment. But probably one of my best ever seasons supporting City is when we got, you know, the old third division, go to places like Colchester, Lincoln, Gillingham, you know, the Macclesfields and York, and you know, I think that's what I've seen City playing 72 competitive stadiums, you know, and I think I wouldn't have been able to do that if we wasn't so shit.
Yeah, but let's look at it in another way. And all, you know, obviously they was down there, but look what they did for other clubs when the fans was coming. Look how they generated money for other clubs with, you know, half of the stadiums full with the Manchester City supporters. You know, think about that and all. And you know, yes, it didn't take them long to get back where they wanted to be. And you know, you look at them now. Yes, everybody says to me, "There's been a big change around," and that. I say, well, Manchester City is still Manchester City. You know, Manchester City. No matter what you say, clubs evolve, but they've still got Manchester City there, and it'll always be in the hearts of, you know, all the Manchester City fans, no matter where they are around the world, no matter where they've been and where they are now. You know, at the end of the day.
What's your take, Terry, on, you know, the allegations, what UEFA threw at us, which we won, and now what the Premier League are trying to do to, you know, to City, you know, over.
Well, I mean, listen, it's give and take, isn't it? You know, until there's a big report what comes out, then you know everything's fine, and you know you've just got to get on with it. I'm sure. Pep's not worried. He's got a football club to run. You know, you leave that to the people up above Pep Guardiola to sort that one out. But you know, it is what it is, and you have to go through the right channels. And until, like I said, a report comes out, what's happened, then Manchester City can challenge it, can't they? You know, they can challenge it at this present time. Listen, it might take 3 years, 4 years. It's not going to happen overnight. I think there was 38 different cases against Manchester City at this present time. That's not going to happen in 4 months. That could probably happen in 3 years' time. So, you know, I think Manchester City at this present time have to concentrate on what they're doing and the players and the management and the old club. And that's, you know, winning titles and, you know, winning trophies.
Yeah, what I felt even from early on into this season, Terry, was there was a little bit disharmony with, you know, certain sections of City fans and stuff like that. And when the charges from the Premier League, you know, was thrown at us, the unity was, you know, we just seemed to, the old club seemed to, you know, just get together tight as I've ever seen it. And that came from Pep. That I don't know if you saw his first press conference after that. Pep, he was just like, I am going nowhere. I trust my owners. You know, it was just like it was like a Winston Churchill. If you like, we'll fight him on the beaches. And all of a sudden, we've not looked back. So in a way, I think the Premier League have made City, you know, there's more solidarity and stuff like that. So is it big news for anybody who don't know? You're actually coaching in Bangalore, right? You're in India.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we have City supporters clubs over there.
Right,
obviously
cool.
they've brought the City in the community. You know, they've got Mumbai City over there and all. They've got ownership in Mumbai City as Manchester City have. But you know, there's a great fan base over there now for Manchester City, and it is actually getting bigger. And, you know, obviously people can say, well, it's just fans jumping on the bandwagon because they're winning trophies, but that's okay.
Natural.
But, you know, we get the EPL over there all the time. We get Champions League on. I do a lot of work for Sony Sports over the Champions League nights. Right. FA Cup, I'll be doing the Manchester City game. FA Cup against, I think it's Sheffield United, I believe. So I'll be doing that game, for Sony Sports. And we have our own show, a kickoff show. And, I've been in India now, coming on 10 years. I had my first stint in 2010 to 2012, chief mentor for a football academy in Goa called Sesa Goa. And then I come home for a couple of years, more education, going into the academy, visiting Manchester City, see what's going on. And then I come out again in 2014 with the Kerala Blasters. So I was with them for a while, and then I found myself coming to Bangalore in 2019, and been here ever since as a technical director. Now I'm the sporting director for the club, which is great. I still get on the field, do a little bit of coaching, run around like I'm still 25 years of age.
Say, as I said earlier, so, you look fit enough to do it, mate. You really, yeah. you really do. You know, when you said before, you know, like it was a British record for a defender. You handled that, and Curly, to be fair, you know, you both handled it brilliantly. It didn't seem to give you any extra pressure and stuff like that. And then you've got players like Jack Grealish, who people say, you know, it affected him, the price tag and stuff like that. What was it like, you know, that huge price tag on your head? You know, how did you react to it? Because it didn't look as if it bothered you.
Well, listen, listen. At the end of the day, you've got to believe in your own self. You know, you've got to believe in what you've got inside you. You know, you've got to believe that you're a fantastic player. You've got to give yourself confidence. You know, don't forget, I'd started at Leeds. I'd played in Leeds first team. You know, so you know, as an 18, 17, 18-year-old, I was playing reserve team football when I was 15 years of age. You know, so for somebody to come in and pay £2.5 million for you, they must think highly of you.
Absolutely.
My motto was, all I need to do is go in there every Saturday or every Wednesday or every Tuesday, whenever there was a game, pull my boots on, pull my socks up, roll my sleeves up, and run up and down that field, get stuck in for the people who've paid all that money at the end of the day. Every time I put that blue shirt on, I tried to do that.
And you did.
No matter what was going on in the... No matter what was going on in the...
As a City fan, and I'm not just saying it because you're here now, Terry Phelan could never be accused of any dodging anything. You know.
No, I think you know, when you grow up, you want to be a football player. Football doesn't last long, you know, as a player. You know, then you go into your coaching and that. Do I miss football now? No, I'm in a different life. I did what I needed to do. I played for some wonderful, fantastic football clubs, no matter where they was or what trials and tribulations they was going through. And it was just beautiful. Don't forget, my first shirt was a City shirt. I could have signed for them, but I always knew one day it might just come around, and it come around, and I was never going to let it go. You know, I still get sad inside me that I had to leave. It wasn't my decision, you know. I would have loved to have been still there now, coming all the way through, playing and an ambassador for the club. And, I thank the club an awful lot because they did something for me the other day. They got me 2 tickets for a close friend of mine and his son who hasn't been too well. And that just shows you volumes of how the club thinks about their ex-players. And it was just wonderful to see. But yeah, I never used to give up in games. You know, I was never happy in games. I never talked to the opposition. The opposition was my enemy. I was here to win, and that was it. I was here to try and get 3 points. Yeah, we made mistakes, but at the end of the day, you've got to just go out there and believe in yourself and entertain the fans. If I can run up and down that pitch all day long with speed, power, and strength, and get the fans off the seats, then that's what it was about doing.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that you and Curly, when you came in, I reckon you was the characters in that dressing room because of your Wimbledon pedigree. You know, because I should imagine playing for Wimbledon, especially Sam Aman and stuff like that. It must have been bonkers because with Vinnie Jones and all them characters.
Well, listen, when I first come in, this is a great story. When I first come into Manchester City, I remember Keith Curl sitting me down and he goes, right, Philo, you know, Philo used to call me. Now, you can't carry on like we carried on at Wimbledon. This is a proper club. I said, Curly, what you tell me? You're the captain of Manchester City. You know, that's all right. The first thing I said, Steve McMahon was sat next to me. I said, Macca, do you remember 1988? Vinnie Jones giving you one and we won the FA Cup. Well, that was it. All the players was laughing and joking. You know, you break the ice, don't you? Macca put his arm around me. But Curly turned around and says, Philo, no cutting clothes up. no putting stuff in soap bags and leave it out now. You're at a professional club. I said, Curly, come on, let's have a laugh and a joke and that. But no, we never did anything. We never did any cutting up of clothes or nailing shoes to benches or burning little fires in the dressing room and opening the bedroom doors and putting all sorts in the bedrooms of the players. No, we left that because we was on a different. They say we was on a different level, but Wimbledon taught me an awful lot for 5 years.
I bet it did.
It taught Curly an awful lot, and yet, like you said, I was a very quiet, kind of person. But when I went on the football field, the training field, the beast come out of me, and I think the beast come out of me in the dressing room and all that at Wimbledon. And I wasn't that quiet boy. I used to have a laugh and a joke and have a bit of a shebang there, and just get the players up for it all the time. That's what you've got to do, and it was great. And listen, people will always remember Wimbledon, won't they? They'll always remember the Crazy Gang. Nobody will never forget the Crazy Gang. I'm going back now, and even over there, our team's just won the A Division Championship, South United Football Club, and they had the music playing in the dressing room. And I went back 30 odd long years ago when I was at Wimbledon. We started the dressing room off with the music.
With the ghetto blasters and all that,
we started all that trend. And I think people forget what Wimbledon made of us. They took boys and they made us into men. And each and every player in that dressing room, it was absolutely fantastic because we was characters. We had a breed of characters thrown together. It was like
you ain't kidding, mate.
And I think we brought them characters to places like Manchester City, Everton, Chelsea, and places like Fulham. But it was good times. Yeah, brilliant.
You've done two things what the average football fan's done. You've lifted the FA Cup and you've played for your country.
Yeah.
Try and tell us what it's like to lift the FA Cup and play for your country.
Well, I'll tell you because I get goose pimples again. I'll tell you, and I'm very honest. The way I am with it is when you're out on the streets, and I'm sure everybody else thinks the same thing. When you're out on the streets, you've got the black and white TV there. You've got the old blow-away ball, what you've got out of the Salford
Tango, the old tangos.
Oh no, we didn't have the tango. Oh, the old tango, what blew
away. The old tango
ball, plastic one. Yeah. But out on the street, banging that against the wall for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and watching Match of the Day and watching the kickoff show on a Monday, Elton Wellesby, and then you think to yourself, FA Cup days around, isn't it? I think it used to be on May the 12th or May the 9th. I can't remember. And it was like FA Cup final day. No matter who's playing, you're just gonna watch it and go out there and play, Wembley after it.
Yeah.
And I always said to myself, well, it must be beautiful to play at Wembley, 100,000 people, Twin Towers. Look at the players what have played on that field. And I know what? I said to myself, one day maybe that dream will come true, and that was in my first cup final was 76. I think it was Manchester United versus Southampton. Manchester United got beat 1-0. My second team was Liverpool, so Man City was my first team. My second team was Liverpool, and I remember the 77. Was it 77? Liverpool, Manchester United won. I was gutted straight away. I didn't have a Liverpool shirt, so I put my Man City shirt on instead. And I got a right bollocking for that and all, because obviously my mum was a Manchester United fan. So, but then to play it at Wembley in 1988 in front of 99,500 fans.
And as the underdogs.
And to win it and all, I mean, that's what dreams are about. And I say to all the students who are trained and we coach and we mentor, keep your dreams alive, because dreams do come true. And, little old Wimbledon, we go there, we beat the mighty Liverpool 1-0, and we held our own in the game and all.
What about playing in the World Cup, mate? With 94, was it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Matt, the World Cup was a little bit like the story of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I think I watched my first World Cup was the '78 World Cup in Argentina. Ozzy Ardiles, Ricky Villa, Passarella, you know, all them boys, and I watched it. I was glued to the TV. You know, we only had a black and white TV. My mum wouldn't let us go into the main parlour to watch the colour TV. Get in there, watch the black and white TV kind of thing. You know, get your slice of bread and jam and butter and eat that. But it was brilliant. I never missed a game. I watched every single game. I don't know if the younger players do that this day and age. You know, I was glued to the TV. Any football was on, I was glued to it. I was glued to it, and I learned what I seen on the TV. I tried to replicate out on the streets. And listen, I know there may be people listening to this. Nobody ever told me to receive the ball on the half turn and check your shoulder. Nobody ever told me that on the streets, because if you didn't do that, you get bulldozed over. So I think the World Cup in '94 was the same thing, watching all the World Cups. And then get into the... Well, listen, I might never have even played for Ireland, because when I was at Wimbledon, there was a phone call come through. And, you know, the old telephones then, there was no mobiles then. You know, ding. Mr. Phelan, this is Maurice Setters, Jack Charlton's assistant manager.
Remember? I
said, Dennis Wise, stop messing about, Wise, yeah? Fash, Finney, stop messing about. So I put the phone down. Ring. Oh, Vinny, Wisey, stop messing about now. Mr. Terry Phelan, this is Maurice Setters, Jack Charlton's assistant manager of the Irish national team. I said, Wisey, stop messing about. Please just stop messing about. Alan Cork, stop messing about. Put the phone down. Because they used to ring you up as reporters.
Yeah.
And they'd have a prank with you, like, you know. Ring. Pick the phone up for the third, fourth time. Now, Mr. Phelan, this is Maurice Setters. If you put the phone down again, you'll never play for Ireland again. So please don't put the phone down. Listen to what I have to say. We want you on a flight on Monday. You're going to be travelling over to Hungary. We want you to play in the game. Okay, then, Mr. Setters, we'll send the tickets over to you. No problem at all. Go to the airport. Tickets will be there. No problem. Put the phone down. So it just shows you, doesn't it? I could have put the phone down the third or fourth time and never played.
I never played.
Never played in the World Cup, and ended up playing in the World Cup thanks to Alan McLaughlin, another Manchester lad. Who ended up scoring the goal to draw against Northern Ireland, which put us through. So, and Alan Kernigan was in that team and all, and Niall Quinn.
Yeah, big Niall.
I think Quinny was injured. Quinny was injured with his ACL. So then again, you know, you've got to keep your dreams alive. And I used to, as a young boy, we were street football players. I'm not the biggest, 5'7" with my high heels on. I'm not the biggest, but what I always used to say to myself is, you want to play football, enjoy it, work hard, roll your sleeves up, because it doesn't last longer. And that's what I did. I went out and enjoyed playing football. And I wasn't friends with anybody on the field, whether it was me teammates or it was the opposition. You know, for me, it was about playing football, and it was a job. And it was a job what was going to put food on the table. As simple as that. It's as simple as that. And then training was the same.
Do you know, like when you started your career off at Leeds and now, you know, I read before it was Billy Bremner who let you go. How did you handle that knockback? Because I remember Sean Wright Phillips, when I spoke to Shawnee about it, and because he got released by Forest for being too small by David Platt, bizarrely. And you've got to have that, like you say, that belief in yourself, that never say die attitude. And it just shows you the rewards, because from a setback like yourself and Shawnee, you go on to not only have a brilliant, league career, but also a great international career as well.
Well, I played for Ireland for just coming on 9.5 years, so it wasn't too bad. I had a bit of an 18-month stint out with bits and bobs of cartilage and hamstring injuries when I was at Everton. I'll tell you a story, and we'll get back to it. I was at Everton and got a bit of a cartilage injury. Kept coming back, kept breaking down. I get an hamstring injury, I get a calf injury. My balance was all over the place. I remember sitting in the house one day and I said, I'm not giving up. And the physio turned around and said, look, we're going down to London. We're going to see top surgeon. He might have to tell you some bad news, Terry. And I remember the surgeon saying to me, where do you like travelling to? I said, what do you mean? He went, what beach do you like? I said, oh, I like going to Spain, maybe Portugal. He said, do you play golf? I said, no, sir. He went, well, I think you should start playing golf up because I think you should give the game up. And I got in the car with the physio, was driving back up to Liverpool, like back up to Everton. And I said to him, I'm not giving up. I stayed. I worked in the gym for 18 months. I got back in the Everton side and I got back in the Ireland side and all. After 18 long months out. And obviously I left Everton and went to Fulham and I played regular there and I was at Crystal Palace. I think every day, and I'm going to give myself a bit of a pat on the back here because when you're out injured for 18 months, I don't think the supporters see that, you know.
So it's a lonely old place, isn't it? I spoke to Lakey about it, you know.
It's so lonely. It's so lonely. It's you, it's the weight room. But my motivation and self-esteem and motto was, I'm coming back to play. And I did end up playing. And, you know, and it's like when I got released from Leeds United, I thought I was going to stay at Leeds United for the rest of my career. That didn't happen. I got told I was too small. I remember saying to Billy Benner, God rest his soul up there, that Billy, manager, gaffer, you know, you played in some great Leeds sides and you was the smallest on the field and you had a big heart. I said, I've got a big heart. He says, well, I just don't see it as a fullback. I like big fullbacks. I said, okay, play me on the wing then. And he had these different ideas. He wanted big men at the back and big men all over the field, but that's all right. So I went back home. I didn't tell my mother I'd been released. I went back to my bedroom, what she kept on for me. And she said, why are you home so long? I said, oh, I'm just having a break. And then Terry Orriff come in for me. He said, do you want Terry Orriff and Tommy Hutchinson?
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, Tommy.
He says, do you want to come down to Swansea? I said, yes, straight away. And I went straight down to Swansea. I had to prove a point. And I proved the point. I played 42 games. I missed one through suspension. I must have kicked somebody too hard or kicked the referee. I don't know what I've done there. Ended up going to Wimbledon for £90,000, £100,000, staying there for 5 years, winning an FA Cup Finals medal, getting in the Irish side. Yeah. So I always had a point to prove, not to myself, to other people, and that kept me going. That kept me spirits up.
Nothing and that's a bloody good education, that though, isn't it? You know, from your initial being released to going to Swansea to Wimbledon. That's good grounding for you. And you say that will to win what you had, you know, it paid dividends, didn't it? You know, because of the career you had.
Well, listen, we're all different beasts, aren't we? We're all different human beings. We all have different inner spirits, as you say. I'm not going to get too spiritual here. I'm in India. India's a very spiritual place. But you've got to have self-belief and you've got to have courage. You've got to have self-belief, you've got to have courage, you've got to have discipline, focus, desire, strength of body and mind. And you've got to have these things because you are going to get knocked in any job. You know, people get laid off, you know, people get made redundant in every just normal everyday jobs. And I think you've got to get over that. And it's about working hard and all. And it's not easy. You know, like I said, 18 months in a gym, coming back from it, and then playing for your country again was a great achievement for me. I could have took the money and sat on a beach, but that wasn't good enough. You know, that wasn't good enough. That wouldn't have sat right with me. And maybe with some players, but it wouldn't have sat right with me because I think I would have cheated myself then.
And the proof's in the pudding. What you got? Do you think the game's too soft now? You know, Terry,
I don't think it's too soft. I think there's a lot of protection around the game now. You know, the game wants to be cleaner. It's for the fans. The fans want a clean game. You know, now the pitches are better. Stadiums are getting better. you know, the mentality of the fans are different.
I don't. I want them crunching tackles like they used to be. But sadly, them days are gone.
But pitches have changed, haven't they? You know, the mentality has changed now. You know, from referees, from linesmen, from managers, from when you're growing up in the academy. Listen, nobody says you still can't get stuck in, but there's tackling, and there's tackling where people just go over the top in our day to try and hurt people, and that's what they try to stamp out. You know, and I believe in that. I believe in that. You still got to get your tackles in. Yeah, you watch football, there's still tackles in. I think what I don't agree with is when you get touched, players just go down. For me, that's cheating. That's gaining an advantage, but it's cheating. You know, if you've been in that weight room with all the strength and conditioners and sports sciences, and you get a little push and you're going down,
and they're over,
then that should be a what should I say, a white card, and you go in the sin bin for 10 minutes.
I've been an advocate for that for God knows how long, because it's okay, because that player might even get a yellow card for taking a dive on purpose. So it might get a yellow, but he might get suspended for the next game. So if you send him off in that game, it should be, he or she should be penalised for that game they're doing it in. I absolutely agree with.
This is the thing. I do understand that the game, you know, the pitches have got better. But Liverpool's Main Road was great pitches. You know, fantastic pitches. You know, I've played on some fantastic pitches in the 80s. You know, just got around about that November, December, January, February, where they'd get cut up and the weather and there was no undersoil eating. But it was great. It was great. You was getting stuck in. You know, your ball control was great. The ball's bobbling all over the place. But the game's changed anyway. The game's evolved. It's evolved like everything evolves. You know, there's some games I don't enjoy watching. There's some games I do enjoy watching. You know, I like watching football. I like watching fast-flowing football. You know, pity-pattering about.
VAR. What's your thoughts on VAR, Terry?
I mean, listen, if they've brought a machine in to do a human being's job, then there's a big problem with human beings behind it who still can't do the job. Then it's a big problem, isn't it? Leave it to the referees. Referees have got the hardest job in football, I believe. Harder than
referees are pretty much like that now on the pitch, aren't they? They're scared to make a decision.
But that's what it's happened now. That's what's happened now. They look upstairs and say, is it, isn't it, is it, isn't it? So the ownership's gone off the referees now. Remember Neil Midgley, the late Neil Midgley, a Salford referee? Fantastic. I remember, you know, I don't think there's any banter with the referees anymore. No. I think it's gone. I think that humour's gone now. And I think if there was more humour with the referees and the players, I don't think there'd be the aggression is between referees and players. You know.
Yeah,
I think it needs to improve a little bit. VAR, they've got it in. Is it there to stay? It probably is to stay, but I think they've got to clean it up a little bit more.
I think. Do you remember the days when you used to go in a pub, you know, and you used to have your banter, arguments and stuff like that with your mates? Or the referee made a bad decision. Now we're at the point where you're going in the pub having the same banter, but VAR's got it wrong, not the referee. And I do feel sorry for the referees. I'll be scared stiff.
It's madness. You've got cameras all over the field now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Everything's scrutinised. You could find a needle on a football field at this present time with the cameras around there. So how can VAR make mistakes? I don't understand it. You know, is it the people behind that? I still don't understand it. So leave it to the referee. It's his call, isn't it? You know, and we'll take it from there.
So, could a Terry Phelan in his prime play for Pep Guardiola? I think you would be absolutely suited down to the ground as a Pep type player.
Well, can I ask you something? If Johan Cruyff wanted me to play for Barcelona, that will tell you something. And I could have went to Ajax. I'm not an egotistic person. My head's never been that big. I'm a grounded person.
Yeah.
I could have no problems playing in Pep's team. I don't see why not. I love playing football, and I mean, I love playing the ball on the floor. I love getting forward. They talk about these modern fullbacks. Tell me about these modern fullbacks, folks. I was
going to say, did it happen in the 80s, 90s, that with the likes of yourself?
Well, if anybody sees the goal, or if anybody actually seen me play, they're on about modern fullbacks. The problem with the modern fullbacks this day and age, they don't defend.
Mm-hmm.
They don't defend as much.
Absolutely.
At least we have to defend.
There's no bigger compliment than Johan Cruyff watching, Manchester lad Terry Phelan go to play for him. And that's why I said, I think you'd have got in Pep's team. See, and I'm not just saying it because you're on here either, pal. Pep loves that type of play, what you were, because you could run up and down all day long, chase pigeons in the meantime, paper bags and whatever.
People remind me of running up and down and that, but I had a lot of attributes. I started off as a wing. I started off as a winger anyway, so I loved attacking. And I was a late developer as a fullback at Leeds. I was 16, 17. They developed me there. I used to go out every afternoon, but it's playing football. If you asked me to play in goal, I would have played in goal. But I don't see why I couldn't play in Pep's team. I don't understand why I couldn't play.
You'd have smashed it, mate. You really, really would.
Well, thank you for the compliments.
No, you really would. And anybody who's not old enough to remember, seeing you playing stuff like that, I just recommend. Well, in fact, I'm going to link you that FA Cup goal anyway. You're a Manchester lad. I'm going to ask you one last question, pal, and this is going to swing it for me. Is it a chip muffin or a chip balm?
Is it a what?
A chip muffin or a chip balm?
It's a chip balm. Where's everybody come from? It's a chip balm.
Terry.
It's not a chip muffin. It's a chip balm. When I used to go to the chippy at school, can I have a chip balm, please? Where'd you get chip muffin from?
It's a chip muffin, mate.
That sounds like a kind of cake. Or a chipmunk. It's got to be a chip balm, guys. It's got to be a chip balm. Who's with me on this one? Get the votes in.
Something. It will when I put it out later on this, mate. I've got a feeling I'll get annihilated for this though.
Lashings of butter, loads of salt, vinegar, tomato sauce on it. Boom, down.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. It really, really has. And I know I've kept you longer than I asked you to come on for. But yeah, hopefully you'll join us again soon, buddy. I've absolutely enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm sure everybody who'll be watching this after will equally enjoy it as much as me, mate.
Well, anytime you need anything, just give us a howler. And I'll be there. Like I said, I'm in India at this present time, folks. South United, sorry about the South United Football Club, doing very well. We'll just won the championship, so I think the boys are still on celebration mode.
One last thing, what I forgot to ask you actually, can you see why is it sort of like there's not really any Asians what's come on? Because I'm sure there's a lot of talented players over there. Is the scouting network, or do you think City's just starting to tap into that market now?
Well, I think it'll happen. The education for players is getting a lot better. Infrastructures are getting a lot better, to tell you the truth. The coach education has still got a way to go, especially at the grassroots level. A lot of coaches get the coaching badges and they want to coach at the top. I think we need better coaches at the grassroots level for it to happen. It will happen. The All Indian Football Federation at the moment are really trying to roll out a big whole of football plan, which they hope to implement in 2026 and then later on down the year. So, it's a big ask, but you need private providers and all, which is happening. More participation in the game from the younger students is really happening now. It's really picking up. So we're seeing it. It will happen. it will happen. You know, but I think the mindset now with younger parents is their sons or daughters can make a living out of sports. And I'll say sports, not just football. They can make a living out of sports. And that's where now the younger families are thinking about it, you know, from the, you know, the older generation. It was just about education, which is nothing wrong with that. Education, be a doctor, be a, you know, be a nurse, you know, be in the IT world now. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you've got aspirations to be, you know, some sort of an athlete, you know, in any field you like, if you've got
it in there in your self-belief, and you know, the likes of yourself,
I think that's it. It'll happen. Will happen. There's 1 or 2 lads now on the radar, getting into, obviously it's a little bit difficult getting into England because of visa situations and that. I think they have to go into, you know, different parts of Europe and then maybe feed their way into England. Everybody wants to play in the EPL, don't they? Everybody wants to play in that league.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on winning that title, buddy. And can't thank you enough, Terry, for your time. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers,
bye
pal.
now. Bye.